Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. September 20th. Yesterday in the markets, gapped up. In the ES, we filled the gap, but then went higher. In the Nasdaq, we did not fill the gap and went higher. So the market's pulling back a little bit. Really nothing bearish. Pulling back this morning. A couple news items to note this morning. FedEx did not give good guidance. That's pulling down UPS and Sympathy. If you want to look at it, they've been talking about UPS, and this is like, shipping's part of our economy. And I know Fed Powell says we're strong. He kind of has to say that, but that's not a good sign when, major shipping companies are constantly giving poor guidance. So, again, though, markets can still go up with that. It's just a note, right? So, and we'll have to see. We're going to get into everything today. All right. Yesterday was just like a week. It was like the market was so, the internals were so strong that any kind of short was short lived. Okay. I can get it, maybe get into that a little later. But, yeah, it just kind of just gapped up. The big move was overnight, moved up a little bit, but basically kind of balanced. All right. Now it's the market's job, if it can stay up here and create some value. All right. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the preceding day. This is my edge. It's how I find structure in the market and base my strategy on. Okay. Now, hopefully, you can join me every day at 8:10 a.m. Subscribe, set an alert, have a coffee, have tea. Let me go over what happened yesterday. Let me go over what's going on this morning with news, economic calendar. All right, we'll get into some upgrades, downgrades, and we'll get into daily charts and the main event, which is usually 8:30 a.m. I analyze the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Okay, that is my bread and butter. That allows me to then put up a game plan, long and short trade scenarios, and then once the market opens, it's a whole different analysis. Okay, now one thing to note here: today is triple witching, quad witching, whatever you want to call it. Quad witching, or triple witching, is basically stocks expiries today, index expiries today, and ES and NQ futures contracts are changing over. So that's why it's triple witching. You can add a fourth one in there, really, with futures options expiring. So that would be quadruple witching, but I think more people refer to it as triple witching now. So that's a lot of money coming off the books this morning. I didn't look. Usually it's trillions of dollars coming off the books today. So you can have some volatility, and then probably followed by some pinning action, with large gamma strikes. Okay, large gamma strikes tend to pin at the day of expiry. All right, so maybe there's some big ones we could talk about later, because that could happen. Now, it doesn't always happen. I would say most of the times it does. Large gamma strikes tend to get like they're magnets, and the kind of market tends to go around them, and then towards the close gets really close to them. So maybe I'll go over some stocks about that. Okay, now if you enjoy what you're looking at, please give me a thumbs up or a like. All right, you can always follow me on X at Gonzo719, and I make a lot of trade reels. You could follow me on my YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Follow me at Gonzo719 Trader. All right, let's get right into the watch list here. Not wasting any time, and let's see what's moving markets. Okay, now we have Ether up 3.43%. Good morning, Chief. Google, I mean Google, gold, loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the gold. I'm loving that gold move. I'm a long-term holder of gold and I'm loving it. Over 2600, broke that last week, now 2640. Oh God. I mean, they're saying this could go to 5,000. I'm not saying that that's what I believe. Hey, if it goes 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, oh man, it's great. I got a real soft stop on it. So enough of that. Silver's up 0.91. Bitcoin's only up 0.25. Dollars up 0.21. 30-year bonds kind of flat, up 0.07. The Dow was pretty much flat, up 0.04. 10-year yield is down a little bit, down 0.13. ES down 0.15, was down more. Nasdaq was actually down a 0.5% earlier. Okay, only down 0.18. Russell down 0.21. Crude pulling back a little bit, down 0.55. Then the VIX, we're still at a 16.19 VIX. It's down 0.86. All right, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus. Let's see. So we got Coinbase at 170, up 1.05%, followed by Google up 0.53, and Amazon. The rest is red. All right, now these were down more before. Okay, Apple, I just saw that September 20th relaunch or something of the iPhone 16 has been disappointing. Now a bunch of semis have gotten like price target lowered or downgrades this morning. All right, not the ones that are the most popular, but we'll get into that in a second. So Broadcom down 0.26, General Electric down 0.30, Nvidia down 0.44. So out of this list, Nvidia is the weakest at 117.35 right now. Okay, moving on to top sectors. All right, Costco up 0.17. There's not a lot of leaders here, only Walmart and Visa. That's not really leaders. Let's go down to laggards. All right, we got Cat down 0.22, Qualcomm down 0.57, Semi, PepsiCo. They just got a downgrade based on like I think beverage outlook. They're down 0.82. UPS is down, was down a lot more just earlier because of FedEx poor guidance. They're down 1.27%. Okay, let's go to the swing trade list here. Let's look at some leaders here. Nike. Nike's replaced. Was it their CEO or CFO? Or they appointed somebody inside to. We'll get into that later. But meanwhile, it's up 7.67%. All right, GDXJ Gold Junior Miners, they're up 1.66. Now that's one I regret. I owned that at 33 previously, and I took it off because that's supposed to go up with gold. They're relatively weak compared to gold, so they should run. If there's a big pullback, I'll probably get involved, but otherwise, again, not financial advice. That's just what I'm doing. CrowdStrike up 0.132. Baba's up on 112. Gold, there it is, up 0.105 at 241. Beautiful. Now, Nextera Energy and Duke Energy got upgrades this morning. That's utilities, right? We're going to cut rates. People want dividends, all right? So, and that's really all I'll talk about there. Now, laggard. There's a FedEx, down 13.05% on poor guidance and revenue missing. Okay, down 13.12%. Like I said, what does that really say about our economy? Right? We all know this, but like I said, it doesn't matter. The market can do what it does. But you can have stuff like this really be telltale sign, right? Donald Trump stock down 5.51. I heard there's some kind of we'll get into that. Lennar actually beat earnings, but they're down 3.48%. Chewy down 2.89. Palantir down 1.91. Now there is Lam Research. That's a semi down because they look like they have a stock split coming. They're very expensive, so they have a stock split coming. Let me see what kind of stock split they're looking at here. What's the ratio? 10 to 1. So that stock will be $70. So it'll be more tradable. All right. Now, Applied Materials also go to downgrade. Right. These are the ones that I'm talking about. Okay. All right. That's what's going on there. All right. Now let's move on to the sectors, the guts, and really let's see what's going on. Now, of course, I just said Duke Energy and Xterra Energy got upgrades, right? So utilities is getting the love this morning. They're getting the love, right? Those are the two largest holdings in utilities, so that's why that's up. Now, laggard energy is down a little bit, but technology, the largest weighted sector in the S&P 500 is down 0.24. Okay, that's your Nvidia, that's your Apple. Okay, AMD, and of course, like I talked about, semis have gotten some price target lower in downgrades, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, they are down 0.65. Usually that's risk off. Who knows? Obviously, that can get bought up when the market opens. Okay, moving on to some news, an economic calendar. Okay, let's do that. All right, today is light. You had Fed Harker speaking at 2. I'm planning not to be trading around 2, so that's not going to matter to me. Baker Hughes oil rig counts at 1 p.m. That's not going to really matter to me. Very light with news, with the economic calendar data coming out. Okay, that's very light. Now, the financial juice here. All right. Now, I did see Bank of Japan. Okay, maintained. It says Bank of Japan was in the spotlight as it maintained policy with the yen falling 1% as governor. I'm going to say this: Ueda proved less hawkish than some traders expected. Ueda indicated that there's minimal rush to raise interest rates, so that Japan carry trade putting on ice a little bit. Okay, that's that. Right now, getting to some news right here. So, FedEx stock slumped 13% after the logistics group cut its full year guidance and reported fiscal first quarter earnings that fell well short of Wall Street expectations. That's why it's down. Nike stock rose 5.7 after the athletic apparel firm announced that chief executive John Donahoe is to step down from the position next month. Okay, there you go. But they appointed somebody that they like inside. All right, PepsiCo stock fell 1.1 after Morgan Stanley downgraded its stance on the soft drinks giant to the equal weight from overweight, citing the risk of revenue growth. Now, Berkshire Hathaway keeps shedding Bank of America. All right, now the Donald Trump stock fell 4.5, extending the sharp losses in recent weeks, fueled by worries about the end of the so-called lockup period related to its stock market debut in March. All right. Apple stock fell 0.4 after the iPhone 16 resale prices on September 20th, the first day shipment, have collapsed within the first 3 hours of trading. All right. Now, Lennar stock fell 2.9 despite the home builder reporting better than expected third quarter results as new home orders increased amid strong housing demand. That's what's going on there. Okay, now look at more news here. Um, Now look here. FedEx, we talked about. GM's recalling over 449,000 pickup trucks. Macy's to hire more than 31,500 employees for the holiday season. Let me see if it talks about in here the Hershey laid off some people. Let's see. Let's see. FedEx got a price target cut from 320 from 340. All right, I'm gonna leave that there. Let's go to upgrades, downgrades, and let's see if this has been updated. Okay, let's see. Yes, it has. Okay, so let's go here and see some upgrades. All right, so we have Campbell Soup, First Energy. Okay, now I'm gonna get into more of those in a second. Downgrades. Let's see. Here's what I'm talking about. ASML semi downgraded from overweight to equal weight. Okay. FedEx downgraded. PepsiCo downgraded. We talked about that. Valero Energy downgraded. All right. Let's go to initiations. Firm positive. That just says positive. That's the first time I've really seen that. Positive. Um, Dominion Energy hold. Reddit a buy. Snap. Let's see. Neutral. Okay. Price target changes. Let's go there. Let's go to target raises first. Nike target raised from 100 to 110. What else here? Accenture target raised from 320 to 329. Now let's go to target lowers. FedEx from 340 to 320. AutoZone. Wow, AutoZone's price, Jesus, 3,900 is the stock price, down to 3,350. All right, Nike. Okay, okay. Now that's about all I'm going to talk about there. All right, I'll bring up this cool little thing on TOS. All right, right here. All right, I'm going to show you guys that right here, and price targets. So I want to show you guys right here. See, Lamb Research. So Lamb Research, see, price target on Lamb Research 950 from a 1050. That's semis, right? Applied Materials. Applied Materials from 225. Price target from 225 from 245. So this is why semis are getting a little weakness this morning. Okay? Just wanted to show you guys that. All right, now we can move on to daily charts. All right, so let's get into the daily charts here. All right, see what we have going on here. Okay, so made an all-time high yesterday, 572.88. Okay, but you have a doji candle, right? After you gapped up, right? Now, see, in SPY, like stocks, you don't consider this a gap fill unless you go to the close of the previous day, which would be down here. Okay, so in futures, the gap closed because you only look at the highs and the lows. They're called range gaps. That's all you look at. You don't look at the close. So technically, it didn't fill the gap in stock. Okay, didn't fill it. So it came really down to the high of the previous day. But this doji, right? So doji is like an indecision candle, right? So, obviously, look, you opened there, closed there. That's really what happened, all right? Now, where are we at now? 568.70. 568. 568.70. You are at the lows. Let's see here. Right here. You're at the lows of yesterday. Okay? The lows. See if this is supportive, right? We start making our way back here. That'd be interesting, right? Let's look at the live look of futures. It made the all-time high yesterday, 57.97 in futures. All right. Now you can see that was the high yesterday. This is where we're at right now. Okay. So there's really nothing bearish about this. You just have to see, can we build value out here? That's really all that matters right now. Will the market accept these prices and deem them fair? That's all that matters. All right. Now again, intraday trading, you could get a short that works. That has nothing to do with it. You were talking about macro structure, right? So that trend line has been broken in the Qs, right? Gap up. Now remember, the Qs, Nasdaq futures did not fill the gap yesterday, all right? So where did we come? Right, what I talked about yesterday. I said check out this resistance right here at around 45, 46. That is last month's highs. We came up there, we tried to do something, and we sold off a little bit. So this resistance right here, we step back a little bit right here, is pretty beefy. Okay. This is last week. The orange is last week's highs and lows. So we're above last week. Okay. But last month gave us resistance. Now, where are we at now? 482. It's moving on me here. 42.90. Let's just say 42.90, 42.90. So right here, we're in the middle of yesterday's range. So a little better spot than the ES or the SPY. Okay. But again, it look at kind of like a doji candle as well. All right. Let's look at futures. Okay. And this is what I talked about in futures. This level in futures yesterday, I said that 202.50 level, 202.40 level would be resistant. It came up there, got resistance, right? Here we are now. So you're out of this balance and you pushed up, and now you're here. If you hold here, it's bullish, right? And see if you can crack that level. All-time highs is 21237 in futures. Just have to see what's going on, right? And this big time resistance, if we crack that, yeah, your all-time highs are probably within reach. Okay. All right, moving on to our triple-headed monster. Let's check out the 10-year yield. All right, you had a pop up yesterday, hit last week's highs, and now we're getting like a little doji candle for today. Okay, the yields were down pretty significantly earlier. So they were down here, but now it's like a little doji candle. So keep your eye on that. Now let's look at our dollar. So here's our dollar right here. All right, so we're holding, like, remember I talked about this? Look, this double top, this M, and we're just like holding down here. It's if it breaks that, wow. But if it starts to move up, we just have to see the dollar's really just chilling. Okay. Now the third head is the VIX. We're at a 16.22 VIX. Again, that's 30 days out of fear, and the market still will get a 1% move, plus or minus in the S&P 500. That's what's expected with a 16 VIX. All right. That wraps up our daily charts. All right, now we're going to go to the main event here. Go main event. Go to our, right here is their ES, market profile, and volume profile. Okay. So, looking at this, let me get my marker out. All right, first thing I want to look at is that profile. Okay. Let's look at the profile together. Let me even make this bigger. Okay. Okay. So, here's our profile for the rolling week. Okay. We got value still down here. Okay. 5,700. Most traded price of the month and the week still down here. So that's value. This is all value. And now you have this second distribution with the gap up. Okay. Now, you've heard me talk about this before. Price is up here. Okay. Value's down here. You want value to chase price. You want this to move up here and become the most traded price of the week up here. That would be bullish. If the market cannot do that, the market will return back to value. So we have to see right now, it's doing its job. You're accepting prices higher. Okay. So as long as it does that, and today you can move this price up here, and it's might do it today. Okay. So that's one thing we have to note. That's one thing we have to note. Now, we look at yesterday. Okay. I said this weak structure right here did get taken care of. Okay. This weak structure did get taken care of. Because when we opened, we pushed back all the way down. See that little thin volume? That got taken care of right here. Look what that did. It perfectly got taken care of. And then the market moved up. Okay? So that's what happened yesterday. And then we just kind of balanced off. And you have a prominent POC here, which is the point of control. And market profile also was the volume point of control. The most time was spent there, and the most contracts were traded there. Very important, right? Now, where does that line up with? It lines up with the overnight high, right? And it lines up with the overnight high of yesterday and the overnight high of this morning session. That's like a pivot point now. So 57.78, let's call it. That is a key level. Okay, and you have a triple top in the overnight. Now I'm going to split this out so you can see that there's a triple top here, right there. So that is very interesting. Right there, that means longs had poor location. The market opened right here, pushed up, and got stuck. And then they had to get, you short. They had poor location, then the market went down. Okay. Now you can probably see that if I like that. Okay, so triple top, and the market kind of pulled back. Okay. Now I'm going to put this back. All right. All right. So let's talk about some key levels here. All right. That key level, it's a weak high. Notice, right? Shorts are in there. Okay. And that's the most traded price of yesterday in the prominent POC. Today is triple witching, Muhammad, not just OPEX. Triple witching is even bigger. Um, so right here is that level. All right. So we know yesterday this is the most agreed upon price. Okay. So this is a major level, 57.78. Okay. It's the sellers to defend, and it's the buyers to see if they can break it. Okay. So what else do we have here? We have single prints. I actually can put that there. I'm going to do a live little single print ad here. Right here. Right here. Right there, single prints from yesterday's session. Okay. All right. So, like I said, we're inside. Now let's look at what we're doing now. The overnight session's inside yesterday's session. Where are you? Right at the midpoint of yesterday. So very, very, very choppy area. Right? It's probably something you don't want to get too much involved in. You can get chopped up a little bit. All right, because this could turn into the most traded price of the week. It was the most traded price of yesterday. Okay, that could be very choppy, so we really probably don't want to be involved where it is right now. Okay, but where we do want to be involved is that week high. Okay, and really you want to see if buyers can step up in this area where the single prints are yesterday, and you still have demand down here. Okay. All right, so we got some levels to look at. All right, all-time highs are up here. And we do have supply. Sorry you couldn't see that, but now I'm looking at supply zone is right here as well. Okay. All right, so now we're going to get into some scenarios here. Now, Muhammad, generally on a quad witching or triple witching, whatever you want to call it, day, you get some volatility in the beginning, usually. Okay, a lot of money comes off the books. Then, later in the day, pinning could happen. Pinning with large gamma strikes can happen. And you kind of get a market that just pins the one strike. Doesn't always happen, but it happens it happens more than not. All right. All right, let's get into some scenarios here. Okay. Start off with the bull case. All right. So, buyers. Okay, a couple things here. The bulls. You got single prints here. All right. You got this little weak low in the of an overnight lows. All right. So what I want to see, okay, can bulls really defend this area? It's a big area, I know. Okay. But I really want to see if they can step up, because if they can step up in this area, they're going to hold value higher, and people are just going to accept the higher prices. Okay, so I really just want to see what they do in this area. It's a pretty big area, I know. Now, what can happen? All right, what I'd like to see to happen. All right, now two things I think that can happen. Okay, for a long. First one I'm going to talk about here is, okay, what if the market pushes up, finds sellers again, and now we come through here? If you get support in these single prints, anywhere in the single prints, that is bullish, and you're probably going to wind up breaking through that weak high and testing possibly yesterday's highs. Okay, that is one. Number two, you can take those single prints out, right? Then you got a demand zone here. What do we do here? Below this demand zone, I don't want to be long. So I want to see how the market reacts here. Is the market weak? Is the market just in parity where it's not that weak? It's just a correction. Have to see. If you get higher lows, we can then work our way back up to here and possibly break this and hold this and go up higher as well. Right? That's what I'm seeing there. Those are two. Now, the next one, this is what also could happen. We could push up, break that weak high right here, hold it, hold it, hold it, and try to make new all-time highs. Okay? That's what I see for the long side. Now, for the short side, it's all about this supply zone and that weak high right here. That's what it's about. Can sellers defend this area? Okay? And then you got single prints here. Okay? Single prints right there. Little thin volume. All right? It's very important. All right? So, what do you want to see? Okay? Sellers defend this. Now, remember, no level's exact. So let's say the market comes up and does one of these. Boom. But then it gets rejected very swiftly. You want to see a lower high. Now the market can come down here, take out that overnight low. Okay, now remember, this is a bearish. So you got single prints here. You cut through that single prints, take out yesterday's lows. Now you do have the demand zone here. Okay, now remember, this is bearish. So what you want to see here is, obviously you're probably going to get some kind of pops up. You want to take that demand zone out and then see if you can hold and hold. Okay, if you can. Okay, if you can, the day of this move does not have a lot of volume here. You can return back to value. And then, this is the if. This breaks, oh boy, that is bad. All right, that is big time bearish. I don't know if that happens, but if this does happen, that will happen. If you lose that level, 5,700, that is no bueno. Okay. So I'm really, like I said, this is everything. 57.78. This is everything for a seller, a bear. You need to defend that. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the Nasdaq. All right. Here's our Nasdaq. All right. The NQ. Let's look at structure. Okay, here's a rolling profile. We got value down here, right? Most traded price of the month here, most traded price of the week here. Got thin volume, and then you got a new distribution right here. Okay, price is here. Okay, so price is above these major levels right away. That's bullish. Bullish structure. Okay, bullish structure. Let me make this a little bigger here. Okay, now price is here, right? So right off the bat, now here's the note, right? Here's the gap. There's still a gap in the NASDAQ right here. There's still a gap. Did not fill the gap in the NASDAQ. All right. Now, the NASDAQ was in supply yesterday. That's why couldn't really move up higher. All right. And that resistance in the Qs that I talked about. That's why it struggled up there. Now, we have to look at what we're doing now, right? What are we doing now? Now, the market's recovered a good amount right now. It was down 0.5%. All right. Now the Nasdaq is only down 0.08. All right. Semis are not as weak as they were. They're still the weakest sector. Okay. So let's talk about the levels here. Okay. Not exactly the same situation as the ES. Multiple demand zones below us. Unfilled gap below us. Okay. We're inside yesterday's session. There's the midpoint of yesterday right there, 282.50. That's the midpoint of yesterday. We're kind of right there right now. Again, horrible trade location. You're in the middle of yesterday's session. Not great location. Okay. Not a great location. All right. So in this, and let me actually put some single prints here. Right here at the lows of yesterday. Right there. To the right there. All right. All right. So let's go over this. What levels are key here? Okay. What levels are key? Well, obviously the gap right below us. But you have demand right here, so it's not going to be easy to drive the NASDAQ down unless it's super, super weak. Okay. And honestly, the most traded price is all the way up here. Okay. So the NASDAQ, I would say right now, isn't the easiest right now. It isn't the easiest to just come up with a plan right now. Be honest with you. It's not the easiest. Right? Now the levels here are very clear. Right here. This demand zone needs to hold with the gap. Okay? If we come back here, that needs to hold. Now we are in supply as we speak right now. We're in supply right now. So that's the sellers. They got to step up here. That's the defense point and the midpoint of yesterday. Okay? That's the midpoint of yesterday. Now, you're way away from the highs of yesterday in the most traded price. Okay? So we're going to have to use that most traded price as a gauge today. So this 201.30 is the most traded price of yesterday's session. Okay? So two areas here, supply, sellers can step up, and they can step up here and supply here. So there's a lot of more room for sellers to step up in the NASDAQ than there is, in my opinion, for the ES. Okay? All right, so let's get into some, and you got this big resistance. Remember, in the Qs, you have big resistance. Your supply is still up here. So up to the upside's not very easy, and the downside's not very easy in the Nasdaq because you have all this demand. So very tricky, very tricky. So let's just get into this. I like the ES a lot better today so far. All right, we're going to start with the bull. They are in control, therefore we start with it. So what could happen? This can push up. Maybe sellers come in. Now here's the most traded price of the overnight. We could correct that. Now look, this is what I want to see. This demand zone with single prints in the gap right there. If this gets defended, right? Even the gap, think about the gap of single prints as well. It's a void, right? So if even if we tip the gap in here, and there's the demand again, right? Let's just say we don't fill it, that's bullish. And you get higher low, that's bullish. And then you can see if we can break this supply right here and move back up into most traded price yesterday and see if we can take that out and maybe touch yesterday's highs. What I would think today is, depending how strong the market is, we might just go back, maybe hit it and kind of establish new value here. Okay. So really, this gap to me is where, as long as we don't fill the gap and go below it, I'm going to be bullish down here. If we fill that gap and start to go back, yeah, I'm probably not going to feel great about going long. Okay. So short side, bear side, right? We got our supply right here. Okay. And we just went over what the bulls have to defend, right? So this area, I'm even going to include the gap in here. Right there. Okay. Because if you take that out, see the volume here? It's thin. Thin volume. You can go right back to the most traded price of the week. Okay. So what do I want to see here? And you also have this area here with supply and the most traded price. So there's a lot of room for sellers to engage. We're not in a good area right here. Okay. So one, you stay in the supply, you roll over, you go through that most traded price the overnight, and then you probably do touch yesterday's lows with the gap. Okay, if the market is very weak, you're gonna rip. Okay, rip through this. I know there's demand here, but there's single prints in that gap, and you're gonna fill that gap. You might get a little bounce here, but if that market starts to creep, right, and I know there's another demand here, and gets weak, you have to think about all these longs, okay? And they can just rip right down to value and go into this area, okay? And then if you can go through that, that is bad. That's very bearish. But there's a lot to churn through in the Nasdaq. But that's what could happen, okay? Now, what also can happen? We can push up into this most traded price, and let's say you go over it only briefly, hit supply, go back under it. That could also roll over, and maybe you just fill the gap today and bounce. Okay, that's all about I'm looking for. Remember, today's triple witching, so a lot of money coming off the books. I expect volatility followed by chop and pinning to strikes. Okay, that will do it for me today. All right. Now today, like I said, a lot of money coming off the books. Excuse me, it's just friggin' yawning. A lot of money coming off the books. And like I said, I've seen the gamut with this day. I've seen it be very volatile. I've seen it be a nothing burger. I've seen it where you expect the pinning and chop and then it doesn't do that. Don't know. What I do know, most times in history, after triple witching, a change happens in the market on Monday. Because remember, all new money's got to go to new expiries. All right? This money comes off the books and money goes towards the other expiries, which already has happened. But usually there's a change. And I don't know if that's bearish or bullish. I'm just saying that's usually what happens. So be cognizant of that. You know, if the market looks crazy or weird, I'm probably going to call it a day. All right. I need to see my edge come up If it's not there, I gotta go call it a day. All right. So everybody have a good weekend. All right. Stay green today. No trade is a trade. And I have to tell myself that every day too. So everybody have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.